Today I'm going to demonstrate the long tail cast on. This is the most commonly used cast on in knitting, and if you are reading a knitting pattern that simply says to cast on a certain number of stitches and does not specify a method, this is the method that you're going to need. You need one knitting needle, and the reason it is called the long tail cast on is that in order to work it, you need to reel off a fair amount of yarn before you actually start working it. The amount that you have to reel off depends upon the size of your project. And there's a couple different ways to calculate how much yarn you need. Some people will say to very loosely wrap the yarn around your needle, one yarn for each stitch. Another way to calculate how much yarn you need is to estimate 1 to 2 inches of yarn per stitch you need to cast on. The way that I prefer to calculate it is to take the width of my project, multiply it by 3, and add about 10%. So if I am knitting a scarf that is, let's say, 10 inches wide, I am going to reel off 10 times 3 is 30 inches. I'm going to add 10% to that, which is 3 inches. So for a 10-inch scarf, I would want 33 inches of yarn before I start casting on. Now today, because I'm just showing you, it doesn't really matter. We'll just use, I'm going to cast on about 10 stitches or so. So when you pick up your yarn, the tail obviously is the tail end. The yarn that is attached to your ball or skein, that's called the working end of the yarn. And when you get ready to cast on, you want to lay your yarn over your needle. Always have the tail end in front, always have the working yarn at the back. And just hold it on your needle with your index finger. And then what you want to do while you're holding it there is stretch the yarn over your finger and thumb, and you're going to form kind of a slingshot. And again, tail yarn will be over your thumb, working yarn will be over your index finger. Take your needle, bring it through the loop on your thumb, bring it through the loop on your index finger, scoop that yarn back through the loop on your thumb, and give it a little tug. The first time you work this, you will have 2 stitches on the needle. Every time after that, when you work it, you will create 1 stitch on the needle. So let's show that again. Make the slingshot, bring it through the loop on your thumb, bring it through the loop on your finger, back through the loop of your thumb, and slide it off. You want to keep your stitches on here a little on the loose side. I'm going to do a couple more. Slingshot, thumb, finger, through, and slide it up. Slingshot, thumb, finger, through, and slide it up. You can see my stitches are a little loose, and there's a reason for that. You want your stitches to be able to slide easily up and down the needle. It's very tempting when you first start knitting to want to hold everything with the death grip. Try to fight that urge. And remember, when you actually start knitting, you are going to be putting another needle in through these loops. So you really want them to be a bit loose to make it easier to work. So I'm going to put, I've got 5 stitches on here now. I'm going to put another 5 or so on. So again, make that slingshot, go through your thumb, go through the loop on your finger, back through, and give it a tug. Thumb, finger, through, give it a tug. And you'll also notice that you'll be resetting that slingshot every couple of stitches. Thumb, finger, through, and slide it up. And the more you start doing this, the faster you will get at it too. Let's do one more. Okay. And this is your long tail cast on. So you see on the side that you've worked it on, your stitches are very smooth. If you look at the other side, you've got a row of little bumps. Those are purl bumps, and we will talk about that when we cover the purl stitch. But for right now, that is your completed long tail cast on.